Hello there, this is Being God's Obedient Servant channel. Today's study we're going to be doing 1Kings chapters 3 through 5. Pretty straightforward reading, a little bit to learn here as usual. If you're new to this channel, it's a Bible study channel. I go through the Bible, King James Bible, book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. So as I said before, I don't like to be jumping around. It's very easy to mislead people when you just take one verse by itself, and it's easy to take them out of context that way. So that's why I like to go through the Bible straightforward. So once again, if you're new to this, do recommend going and starting at the beginning in Genesis chapter 1 on my channel and get caught up to here. It's just kind of hard to come into a story in the middle and understand it all. So I hope you like the newer picture on the front, the beginning part, beginning picture. I just changed it. If you want to, leave in the comments what you think, if you like it, or if you want the old one, or the first one I had from the old, original, but kind of like this one. So let's go ahead and get started here. So it's 1 Kings chapter 3. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David, until he had made an end of building his own house, and the house of the Lord, and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord unto those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father, only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, Ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee, and thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but have asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any rise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem, and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings, and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Then, so, here he is thinking it was just a dream. But the thing is, it was his heart in the dream. And so that's, in our subconscious is where we can't really hide, what our heart feels. And so, yeah, it's rarity to have dreams that you can remember easily and stuff. I know it is for me. Some people, I guess, can, but yeah, my dreams are kind of like a little crazy at times. But for years, I didn't know I had sleep apnea real bad, and so I never really got into REM sleep for well over 10 to 15 years. I didn't dream at all because I never really got good sleep. I didn't know it till I learned a better way of sleeping, which with my sleep apnea, I sleep best, laying flat on my belly and my face, downward, but I use an armrest of the couch to keep a gap, so I can breathe and everything. And I use a pillow under my chest to help hold my chest area upright more in level with the armrest of the couch. And for some odd reason, I sleep good that way. Now I can't sleep any other way. But yeah, sleep apnea is a bugger. But more stuff the military caused me and the damage to my body, preventing me from even getting decent sleep. Yay. But yeah, so anyways, God helped me out, figured out a way for me to sleep, and I've been sleeping a lot better for over 7 years now. It's been real nice. So being able to sleep again and dream. But yeah, my dreams are a little goofy sometimes, but anyways, let's continue on here. Verse 16. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day that after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together, there was no stranger with us in the house, save we 2 in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. This happened to my uncle. He was sleeping, child was in the same bed as him and stuff. And he rolled over in the middle of the night and smothered his own child. So this is why they always recommend now, and I highly recommend also to, put the baby in a bassinet or something beside the bed, not in the same bed with you, just because of this happens more often than you think. So anyways, continue on. Verse 20. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king, The one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the others say, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one, and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. Sorry, my dyslexia is kicking in here a little bit. I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. I'll say, restart that. So, my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment. Chapter 4. So King Solomon was king over all Israel, and these were the princes which he had: Azariah the son of Zadok the priest, Elirath and Ahiah the sons of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud the recorder, and Benaniah the son of Jehoiada was over the host, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. And Azariah the son of Nathan was over the officers, and Zabub the son of Nathan was principal officer and the king's friend. And Ahishar was over the household, and Adoniram the son of Abda was over the tribute. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. And these are their names: the son of Hur in Mount Ephraim, the son of Dekar in Makaz, and in Sha'albim, and Beth Shemesh, and Elon Beth Hanan, the son of Hest in Arabath. To him pertained Soko, and all the land of Hepher, the son of Abinadab in all the region of Dor, which had Taphath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. Baanah, the son of Ahilud, to him pertained Taanach and Megiddo, and all Beth Shean, which is by Zartana. That's a tongue twister, one right there. Beneath Jezreel, from Beth Shean to Abel Mahola, even unto the place that is beyond Jokneam. The son of Geber in Ramoth Gilead, to him pertain the towns of Jair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead. To him also pertain the region of Argob, which is in Bashan, 80 great cities, which walls and brazen bars. I'm sorry, I think I missed a word in there. Which is in Bashan, 80 great cities with walls and brazen bars. Ahinadab the son of Iddo had Mahanaim. Ahimaaz was in Naphtali. He also took Basemath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. Baanah, the son of Hushiah, was in Asher and in Aloth. Jehoshaphat, the son of Paruah, in Issachar. Shimei, the son of Elah, in Benjamin. Geber, the son of Uri, was in the country of Gilead, in the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan. And he was the only officer which was in the land. Judah and Israel were many as the sand which is by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. And Solomon reigned over all kingdoms, from the river unto the land of the Philistines, and unto the border of Egypt. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. And Solomon's provision for one day was 30 measures of fine flour, and 80 measures of meal, 10 fat oxen, and 20 oxen out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, beside harts, and roebucks, and fallow deer, and fatted fowl. That's a lot of food every day. For he had dominion over all the region on this side of the river from Tifsa even to Asa, over all the kings on this side the river, and he had peace on all sides round about him. And Judah and Israel dwelt safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. Yeah, so during the time of King Solomon, there was peace in the land, no strife, no problems, no war, no battles, and everyone flourished. So this is what we call the good times, and this is what it's like when your nation follows the Lord. When your leaders follow the Lord and the people follow the Lord, this is the type of life we all could have. But it requires, once again, this nation turning back to following God instead of the world. So, as I've always said, keep praying for America and the people in it and all around the world that we come back to the Lord instead of following, the world. Anyways, let's continue on here, verse 26. And Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers provided victual for King Solomon and for all that came unto King Solomon's table, every man in his month. They lacked nothing. Now, here in America, we're still very blessed because we may not have the best of what we think we should have, but for many people, we lack nothing. We have to remember what God says. If you have food, clothing, and shelter, you are rich. So we have to remember that as well. A lot of other people says, well, I don't have the house or the apartment that I would like to have. I don't have the clothing that I would like to have, and I don't have the fancy food that I would like to have, and going out to restaurants all the time. Well, sometimes you won't have those because God wants you to change your heart and be happy with what He does provide for you. I fall into this today myself. Sometimes I'm sitting there just upset about some things because something I want and I don't have the money for it. And it's like, I don't need it. It's just something I want, and I get a little upset, and I have to be reminded to say, hey, you have a lot more than a lot of other people in this world. And I have to remember that. We got to humble ourselves. We got to stay humble. A humble heart is a godly heart. We have to remember that. Continue on, verse 28. Barley also and straw for the horses, and dromedaries brought they unto the place where the officers were, every man according to his charge. Now, dromedaries, hadn't looked that up. It's a one-humped camel, I think. Remember correctly on that part. Let me see. It's a one-humped camel, a large, even-toed ungulate with one hump on its back. If you didn't know what that was. Now, if you read New King James, it doesn't list dromedaries, it lists steeds. So, maybe I'm not as wise as some of that, but I always thought a horse and a steed were almost the same things, but yeah. Either or. I was sitting there looking on the New King James stuff real quickly. It says horses and steeds, each man according to his charge. But yeah, dromedaries is a camel. So if you was curious about that, that's what that is. But yeah. Continue on here. Verse 29. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. Now, that's the one thing all of us need, is a largeness of heart. And I tell you right now, when you let the Holy Spirit, if the Holy Spirit is in you and you are truly saved, that's one thing He works on the most, is making you have, a heart for everything, for other people. I find myself having, a heart for insects. I don't want to harm things now, I understand things about food and stuff of that nature, but it's, I have this thing now in me that, if there's no need to kill it and it's not, harmful to me or whatever, then, try to let it go in peace. If it's not dangerous to the house or a infestation pest or something like that, blah, blah, blah. I got people think I'm a little weird because I got special jars and tools and stuff I use. Like if a wasp gets in my house through the doggy door, I can catch it and stuff and release it outside. And other people's like, really? Most people just kill them. I'm like, yeah, I don't see no need in that. But I always watch where I step now to make sure I'm trying not to step on bugs when I walk the dogs and stuff. It's weird to be this way now, but I won't even say it's weird, but it's to worry about such things. I don't know. It's like I'm so happy to have a loving heart, But yeah, that's what makes us good Christians and stuff, is to have a heart for the innocent, for the needy, to want to help. That's what we're called to do as Christians. Spread the gospel, learn it, try to, I'm not really good at memorizing the word for word, but I memorize what the word means more than anything in the lessons from it. And that's what I'm trying to do now, is help educate other people, because I spent decades lost. Even though I was a Christian, with my dyslexia and stuff, I didn't read too well and everything, and I wasn't really, from my childhood all the way up for many years, I wasn't taught what the Bible truly said. And the more you read it, the more you study it, the more you see the parts that churches don't teach. They didn't even teach my parents, and my parents didn't teach me. This problem's been going on for a very long time, where they've been skipping some things and, just not teaching about that stuff anymore. It's like now you got people, a lot of people say, well, Jesus is love and that's all it is to it, and blah, blah, blah. They truly believe that all they got to do is believe He's the Son of God and they're saved. And that is not what the Bible says. Because it says, he who believeth in me shall have everlasting life. It means follow and obey. Even Jesus says, pick up your cross and follow me, which means die to yourself and do as I command. And that's what we're to do as Christians. We're to follow by faith. We can question things, but we're to still do what we're told, do what the Bible tells us to do. To live in God's statutes. To be God, to be an obedient servant to God. And it's easy to do. You just got to do it. And a lot of times you ain't going to have as many friends as you used to have, but that's okay. You'll be very, you'll be very okay with that come Judgment Day. Because a lot of those people that quit being your friend because you're following God more, well, I hope you reach them. I really do, and they change their ways and get right with God. But after Judgment Day, we're going to be with nothing but God's children. And that's going to be, that's it's hard to think about. Talked about this before. Hard to think about how peaceful that's going to be. Will we even be able to? It says, but the Bible even says we can't understand it. Because of how our lives are and everything else, the trials, tribulation, the turmoils we deal with. We can't understand a life without no worries, no woes, no problems, no war, no fighting, no squabbles. Just peace for eternities. It's hard to think about, but it's makes me smile to think about it, though, that one day all this garbage will be over and there'll be, just God's kingdom after that. Anyways, continue on here, verse 30. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Haman, and Chalk. Good gracious, when you say that? Chalcol? I almost want to say charcoal. Chalcol. And Darda, the sons of Mahol, and his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. And he spake of trees, from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon. I live in Tennessee now, and we got a town here getting close to Nashville, and they pronounce it Lebanon, but it's spelled just like Lebanon. I don't know why they pronounce it Lebanon, but I've gotten into the habit, and so yeah, I have to catch myself when I'm reading the Bible when I'm talking about the country versus the town. Anyways, so in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall, he spake also of beast and of fowl and of creeping things and of fishes. I wonder if that's what it is about. Because most of my life, I got saved when I was 12 years old, and I've always ended up having an affinity for animals, and just a big interest in beasts, the animals on land, birds in the air, even bugs, and especially fishes, aquatics. I got 5 aquariums. 2 of them are saltwater tanks. Don't ever do that. Well, a saltwater tank is fine as long as it's just saltwater and fish. And a couple of decors, this, that, and the other, whatever. But if you're going to try to do a reef tank, oh, good gracious, don't do it. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just to even get started. If you want to try to do it well, which I don't have the money of, and so I regret ever even starting that. Just stick to freshwater. It's a lot cheaper and easier. But if you have the extra money or whatever and you want to build a reef tank, keep it small. Don't get nothing bigger than a 29-inch, because you got to buy your water. I mean, you got to buy your water from the pet store to do water changes. I mean, you can try to make your own water at home, but you got to get an RO system where you waste 4 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of water. Yeah, it's just... And then you got to make enough water of that. You got to zero it out. Then you got to add the salt. Then you got to add the magnesium, the iron, the calcium, and everything else to the point levels that your reef needs. Then you can, got to get the pH just right, the temperature just right. Then you can add that water to your tank. And it's like that. It's less headache just to buy it, but you buy it in 5-gallon containers, and it's not cheap. And you need to do a water change, every couple of weeks. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just going on a different rant about that. I'm just Fair warning, don't do it. I'm trying to do it a cheap man's way, the poor man's way, and yeah, it's not going as well as I was hoping. But yeah, it is possible with some things. But yeah, it's very expensive. So, but yeah, as I said, ever since then, I love nature. I love to watch things, like how bugs do things. You know, I like to watch fish just swim around. It brings me peace and stuff. Like to listen to the birds and like to watch them and everything, and just see how they act. And animals, the squirrels and rabbits and the deer and the deer. Dyslexia, you gotta love it. Just laugh at me. I'll laugh at myself too. But yeah, I really think that when you have the Holy Spirit in you and stuff, it's these things just start becoming very interesting to you, because these things are a gift from God. The whole planet was a gift to all mankind that follows Him. And we're to be good stewards of the earth. We're to be good caretakers of it. Not try to destroy it or anything else. We're supposed to live with it. So, anyways, let's continue on. Verse 34. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth which had heard of his wisdom. Chapter 5. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. For Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord his God, for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrent. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants, according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. And it came to pass, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly, and said, Blessed be the Lord this day, which hath given unto David a wise son over his great people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sentest to me for, and I will do all thy desire concerning timber of cedar and concerning timber of fir. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will convey them by sea in floats unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and will cause them to be discharged there. And thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there because they're talking about the cedar trees of Lebanon. We have Cedar Park, which is a park of cedar trees in Lebanon area in Tennessee. So if you're ever in the area and stuff, it's you have to take the road going between Lebanon to Murfreesboro, and there's Cedar Park, and it's nothing but a place that just all cedar trees. I ain't gonna say all cedar trees, but a whole lot of them. They got pathways that go into them and stuff. And if you've never got to enjoy cedar trees, it's got such a beautiful smell to them. It's like you get cedar chips, this, that, and the other, and you get little cedar discs and stuff you put in your. I still do it. I have them hanging in my closet and put them in the drawers of my dressers and stuff, and it keeps that smell in there, and it also helps prevent moths and bugs and stuff from being around there, because cedar doesn't get infested by bugs. So, if you didn't know, now you know. But yeah, cedar's a great wood to do things with. But yeah, so if you're ever in Tennessee, between Lebanon and Murfreesboro, they have Cedar Forest Park, Cedar Park. Whatever. It's hold on, let me look that up real quick, just to give you the right name. Yeah, it's called Cedars of Lebanon. Oh, I'm sorry, Cedars of Lebanon State Park. So, anyways, just thought might be, anybody might be interested in that. I've been to it. It's nice to walk through. But yeah, continue on here. Verse 10. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his household, and 20 measures of pure oil. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. And the Lord gave Solomon wisdom, as he promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and they two made a league together. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. A lot of people. And he sent them to Lebanon 10,000 a month by courses. A month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the levy. And Solomon had 70,000 that bare burdens, and 80,000 hewers in the mountains. Beside the chief of Solomon's officers, which were over the work, 3,300, which ruled over the people that wrought in the work. And the king commanded, and they brought great stones, costly stones, and huge stones, to lay the foundation of the house. Now, I've never been to Jerusalem, and these stones are giant, very giant, very, very large stones, many, many tons. Now, this temple that King Solomon built has been destroyed by the Romans, but a lot of the stones are still there, and part of them are still there. Part of the foundation is still there. And part of the end times is the temple will be rebuilt on the Temple Mount. But yes, I know of people that went there and seen how some of these stones are still there in place. But they say that when they say they hewed the stones, that means they cut them in perfect squares, and then they moved them in place and put them in place. And they say the way the stones are cut so close and so precise, we still don't know how they done them in those days to cut them so precise, but you can't even fit a piece of paper in between the stones, and there's nothing holding them together except just weight. Just the weight of themselves sitting on each other. But yeah, that's something to look up, or if you're interested in or whatever about, the what's left of the temple. But yeah, so a lot of people say the end times are near, and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, they are. They're a lot closer than what they were, but there's still a lot of things that have to come to pass, for that time. And one is Israel. Israel has to be in total control of all the land that was given to them. Even in these times, they have to have total control again, and the temple will be rebuilt. And right now, there is a mosque in that area. So to build the temple on the Temple Mount, they have to tear down a mosque, which is an act of war with Muslims. So that's probably a lot of scholars and stuff think that that's what's going to set off, the last war that's going to bring all the nations going against, Israel. And then God's going to defend Israel from all the nations. But yeah, so let's continue on here. Just a little bit of info if you're curious about it all, but yeah, continue on. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them, and the stone squarers, so they prepared timber and stones to build the house. And that is the end of this lesson. I kind of like this layout of this picture better than the bright purple that used to blind me because I'm in front of my screen here reading this and everything. And it's like when I flipped to this last one, it used to be kind of bright to my eyes anyway. So, but yeah. Went on a few rants, so it took a little bit longer than I was expected, but yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this study today. I said, the Bible's always nice to read. Great to get informed things and learn the lessons thereof. But I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. So once again, remember to pray. Pray for yourself. Pray for your friends and family. Really pray for the lost. Pray for governments. I don't know. In the end times, it says the people will, people will be lovers of themselves, and this is becoming worldwide. So, I said, when these things start to happen, Jesus says, look up. The Bible says, look up. Be prepared, because the end is coming close, and we got to be ready. Just like the other lesson was talking about the wedding party waiting for the groom. And the groom showed up, and part of the wedding party didn't have oil in their lamps. So they went to get oil for their lamps, and they missed the wedding party. And then when the wedding party went to the gates and stuff of where the wedding's going to be at, the people tried to come up behind because they weren't ready, and the gates were closed, and they could not get in. That's the lesson from that, is saying, be ye ready for the Lord to come, for if not, it will pass you by, and then you have no way of having access to the kingdom of the Lord. You are just, you can no longer be saved then. So until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.